Okay, so I've been preparing a presentation for the Ham Radio with Grace event that I plan on doing with my church and the radio club in June. We have tentatively settled on the date of June 15th, starting at 8 a.m. That is Eastern time, and going for as long as it lasts. I plan on my portion of the actual presentation to be just a basic overview of what we're going to talk about, what we're going to demonstrate, and tying it into the church with how missionaries use amateur radio or ham radio. Um, so, but I'd like to get you guys' opinion on the presentation I put together. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Welcome to New Ham Basics. I'm your host, Greg, KD9ZRO. And as I said, today we're going to be looking at a presentation that I'm putting together. And I'd like to get your opinions down in the comments below. Okay, so this may get a little tricky because I'm filming my tablet with my phone. But as you can see, titled the event Ham Radio with Grace. My presentation is an introduction to amateur radio, and it's a presentation made possible by the Kokomo Amateur Radio Club and Grace Baptist Church with the cooperation of Associate Pastor Drew Matthews, who is the pastor over the youth. Okay, and so what I'm going to be talking about specifically is connecting through amateur radio, bridging communities, and sharing faith. And of course, it says I got to correct that, obviously, but it's going to say presented by Greg Chappell, KD9ZRO. There's another correction. Amateur Radio, Kokomo Amateur Radio Club member, and the date is June 15th, 2024. Come on, machine. Okay, table of contents, an introduction to amateur radio, how does amateur radio work, getting licensed, community and communication, amateur radio and ministry work, emergency communication, experimentation and innovation, global reach, and conclusion. Good thing I'm doing this video. I'm seeing corrections that need to be made. Okay. Now, before I get into how I actually wrote this up, it's going to be presented in a way that is easy enough for anybody to understand, because the event is kind of primarily for students. So it's going to seem oversimplified to some and just right to others. Specifically going to sound oversimplified to licensed operators. Our first section is what is amateur radio. Amateur radio or ham radio is like joining a global club where people use radio waves to talk to each other. It's like having a special phone that connects you with friends all over the world. Think of it as Facebook, but instead of the internet, we're using radio waves to chat. Amateur radio is not just a hobby. It's a way to explore technology, connect with others, and even help in emergencies. It's like you having a superpower to communicate without cell towers or the internet. So how does amateur radio work? When we talk on amateur radio, we're sending our voices through invisible waves called radio waves. These waves travel through the air and can bounce off things like the sky or the ground to reach faraway places. We use special radios and antennas to send and receive these radio waves. It's like having a walkie-talkie, but with a much longer range. Imagine drawing a line from one radio to another on a map. That's how radio waves travel to connect us. A little bit about getting licensed. Before we can use amateur radio, we need to get a license from the government. It's like a driver's license, but instead of driving cars, we're driving radio waves. We get our license from the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC. Another correction. The license test covers things like how radios work, the rules for using them, and how to be safe. It's not too hard, but it's important to know the rules. Once we pass the test, we get our own special ID called a call sign. It's like having a personalized license plate for our radio. Then we get into community and communication. There are all kinds of people who use amateur radio. Kids, adults, even grandparents. We come from different places and backgrounds, but we all love talking on the radio. Another correction there. We join clubs, play games called contests, and just chat with each other. It's like being part of a big, friendly family. Sometimes missionaries use amateur radio to talk to people in faraway places about their faith. It's a way to share messages of hope and kindness with others. Amateur radio and missionary work. Imagine being able to share a message of hope with someone on the other side of the world, even if they don't have the internet. That's what missionaries do with amateur radio. They use it to spread their faith and connect with people in remote areas. Missionaries might set up radios in villages where there's no way to communicate. They can talk to people, share stories, and offer support. For people living in isolated areas, hearing from a missionary over the radio can be like getting a message from a friend they've never met. It can bring comfort and a sense of community. And in emergency communications, just like superheroes, amateur radio operators can help during emergencies. When cell phones and the internet stop working, we can still use radios to talk to each other and help out. Organizations such as churches often join relief efforts during disasters. They use amateur radio to coordinate supplies, find missing people, and offer support to those in need. Missionaries are trained to use their radios in emergencies too. They can help their community stay safe and connected during tough times. Weather spotters, who are also amateur radio operators, use their radios to keep public safety authorities informed about approaching dangerous weather. They can be vital to helping get warnings out to the public when public safety is threatened by weather. Experimentation and innovation. Amateur radio is like a big science experiment. We're always trying new things and seeing what works best. It's like being a scientist, but instead of a lab, we're in our own backyard. Missionaries might invent new ways to use their radios, like setting up solar power stations or building antennas out of local materials, which we do a lot here. By experimenting with radio technology, missionaries can find creative solutions to help people in need and spread their message even further. Global reach. With amateur radio, we can talk With amateur radio, we can talk to people all over the world. It's like having friends in every country, even if we've never met them in person. Talking to people from different cultures is like traveling without leaving home. We learn about their traditions, share our own stories, and make friends across borders. Missionaries use amateur radio to connect with people from all walks of life. It's a chance to build bridges and show kindness to others, no matter where they are. And then in conclusion, amateur radio is an amazing hobby that lets us connect with people, explore technology, and help others in need. Whether we're talking to friends, sharing our faith, or lending a hand in emergencies, amateur radio brings us together in a powerful way. If you're curious about amateur radio or want to learn more, there are plenty of resources and friendly people to help you get started. Another correction. Of course, this next statement is just specific to the event, such as my friends who are here to focus more on various subtopics of amateur radio. It's a hobby that's open to everyone, and there's always something new to discover. If you have any questions or want to learn more after our presentation that I added in and have to correct, feel free to reach out to us. You're more than welcome to catch me at church or on my YouTube channel, New Ham Basics, and then that's just to reach out to the club. We'd love to chat. Yeah, I apologize for the camera moving. I tried to correct it when I noticed it. And we did see some spelling corrections that need to be made. But overall, I'd like to get your opinions like I said, down in the comments on that presentation, keeping in mind that it is highly simplified so that people that have no idea what I'm talking about can understand, and children can understand. There are even some elderly people out there that at one time would have understood, but wouldn't, may not be able to now. So the people in the middle and the radio operators, it's going to seem oversimplified, but keeping in mind that it's a full range target audience, and I want everyone to understand. I'd like to see your comments down, your opinions down below. What I could do, what I could change, what I could improve, just anything that might be constructive. This is KD9ZRO saying 7-3, and clear until next time.